Hi guys, my name is Karthik and I am from executeautomation.com, and today we are going to talk about an all new tool which is yet to come into the market. It is kind of coming into the market, but it is going to be a big popular tool pretty soon. The reason being, we'll be talking about that in this video, but it is really an amazing tool. So in this EA weekend video series, we are going to talk about automation testing with Playwright. So what is this new tool once again? What is this Playwright, and why are we suddenly talking about this tool again? Because we have so many automation testing tools already in the market, and what is this tool now? So Playwrights are the same team that originally built Puppeteer at Google. So if you see the symbol that I've just made it was not there, the logo, even the Playwright GitHub, but I just made it like the one which you can see over here in this particular diagram. No such thing exists, but I just made it up. But it's pretty much the same Puppeteer tool, guys. So Playwrights are the same team that originally built Puppeteer at Google, but has since then moved on to Microsoft. And Puppeteer proved that there is a lot of interest in the new generations of evergreen, capable, and reliable automation drivers. With Playwright, we would like to take this one step further and offer the same functionality for all the popular rendering engine. So initially, Playwright was something which was only built for Chrome, or the Chromium engine, and they started supporting Firefox as well later last year. But today, with Playwright, with TypeScript language binding, they also support Microsoft edgechrome browser as well as a part of the browser capabilities, which is pretty cool. And that's why the team in Playwright, they say that they want to see Playwright as a vendor neutral and shared governed library, pretty much like Selenium, how it does. So Playwright is a node library to automate the Chromium, WebKit, and Firefox browser with a single API. It enables cross-browser web automation that is evergreen, capable, reliable, and fast. So you can see that it also supports WebKit, which is pretty cool, and that's why you can see that it supports Safari browser as well, and it also supports running the test from the Mac operating system or any Apple devices as well, just to replicate it. So all those things are great things are going to happen with the Playwright pretty natively. So again, the Playwright team says that our primary goal with the Playwright is to improve the automated UI testing by eliminating flakiness, improving the speed of the execution, and offering insight into the browser operation. So again, the insights into the browser operations are nothing but the Chrome dev tool itself they're talking about, which is pretty cool. Again, we'll be talking about that. So installing and getting started, that's what we'll be talking in this particular video, like how you can actually play around with Playwright and how you can work with it. And again, if you have already watched my earlier videos on Puppeteer, this tool is pretty much exactly the same thing. Even if you have purchased my already available course, something like automation testing with Puppeteer in Udemy, or if you have already watched my automation testing with Puppeteer tidbits in YouTube, you would not see any difference other than the name Playwright is being replaced by Puppeteer. That's it. That's the only change. Other than that, you will see the exact same code. There are a few changes here and there in terms of the browser launching, but that's not a big deal, guys. It's the same thing. So let's talk about the installation. But before that, the prerequisite of the installation is going to be something like this. You need to have Node.js installed within your machine, Visual Studio Code as an IDE installed within your machine, and basic understanding of a Node package manager or Node.js. It's kind of very beneficial. So as I said, we're not going to really talk about the npm or installing the Node.js itself as such. It's pretty straightforward and simple, but just that I may be creating a new video on the JavaScript series pretty soon. But other than that, these are the prerequisites that you really require to get started with Playwright. And the installation of Playwright is just this line, guys, npm I Playwright. That's it. The initial version that they have released is 0.10.0. Again, it's like the full version 2 of Puppeteer, but just that they have downgraded the version number to 0.10 just for Playwright. So let's get started and understand how things work in Playwright and see what are the awesome things that you can do with Playwright much easily. So we're going to talk a few things pretty quickly, like launching a browser and how you can intercept the page weighting of application with XHR weightings, and how you can navigate to the applications with different controls, and how you can identify it, and how you can play around with it. All those things we'll be discussing in this particular video. So for that, I'm gonna flip to my Windows operating system right now. All right, this is my Windows Explorer, and you can see that I have already created a folder called Playwright. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a Visual Studio Code from here, from the context menu, because I have already installed a Visual Studio Code within my machine, and you can see that the Visual Studio Code is now coming in. And then I'm gonna create a couple of files here, and as usual, if you have already watched my other videos like Cypress and Puppeteer, is going to be exactly the same thing in Playwright as well. All you're going to do is you need to create a package.json file. Again, in JavaScript world, if you're going to work with any JavaScript based library, even for TypeScript, you really require the package.json file. And then you need to create a dev dependency or the dependency. Doesn't matter, but mostly dev dependency is what you should be looking for. And then you need to install what is called as Playwright. Playwright. Yep, there we go. So this is the Playwright, and you can see there are so many things available, guys. Once I hit the Playwright, it says Playwright All, Playwright AWS Lambda, Chromium, Controller, Core, Edge, Studio, Test, WebKit. Oh my god. And they also have, interestingly, just Playwright, pretty much like just Puppeteer. They also have just Playwright preset, and then create Playwright test and stuff. So as of now, these are the few libraries that you are seeing in this particular video. As of now, today, while I'm recording on February 14th for the Valentine's Day, but for sure there will be so many other libraries coming pretty soon. I would say in next 6 or 7 months down the line, you'll see a lot of libraries coming in, and Playwright is going to be pretty popular among the community for sure. So I'm just going to select the Playwright in here, and as I said, this is the version which is currently available with Playwright. And now I'm gonna do Control-Shift-P to create a new integrated terminal within my Visual Studio Code over here. And then I'm just gonna do an npm install. So once I hit this npm install, it will install the Playwright within this particular directory. And once again, guys, I have already installed Node.js within my machine, and npm is nothing but Node Package Manager, which will install this particular package within this particular project. Pretty much like NuGet Package Manager, or in the Maven, you have the Maven repository, something like that. Pretty much exactly like this. So I'm just gonna hit it, and you can see that it's gonna install the Playwright for me over here. And you can see that the node_module folder is being created. And you can see it's currently downloading the Chromium for me. Pretty awesome, right? So it's automatically doing things for me, like downloading the Chromium engine, and it also downloads, I guess it downloads the Firefox as well as a part of the downloading. You can see that it's only the Firefox for me as well. Awesome. And I guess it also downloads the WebKit. There you go. So you can see it downloads the WebKit. So all these different rendering engines are being supported, and that's why Playwright team say that they are gonna go as a vendor neutral platform pretty soon. All right, so the packages are being downloaded, all are them sitting in here, like what are the dependencies that you really require, which is pretty cool. And now I'm just gonna create our first test to see how it actually works. So for doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new file in here. I'm gonna call this as test, or maybe let's call this as .js. And once it is done, I'm just gonna do a const of Playwright is equal to, I'm just gonna do a require, and it's gonna be pretty much exactly like how you can do with the other languages as well, like JavaScript in that matter. So I'm just gonna use that. Again, this is something called as module loaders, and I have a video on the module loaders. I'll put the link in the description below so that you can go ahead and see how you can work with these kinds of way of importing the packages. Well, as that said, in Puppeteer world, the way you can execute the code is putting this particular block, and it's exactly the same thing applicable for the Playwright as well. So this code block, as you can see in here, will actually execute whatever code that you actually write. So code execution happens within in here. So this is the block that you should be worrying about, and this is where the codes are going to be executed, right? Well, as that said, the first code I'm going to be writing is opening a browser, and I will see how I can actually run the particular test in here. So the first test I'm going to do is I'm going to open a browser over here, and I'm going to call Playwright dot, and once I hit dot, magic happens. Visual Studio Code is much intelligent enough to get all the type definition files or index.d.ts file to bring in all the amazing intelligence for you within this particular Visual Studio Code. And again, guys, index.d.ts file, intelligence, and all those stuff I have already talked about in our TypeScript fundamental course available in YouTube. So please go ahead and watch there. It's exactly the same thing, which we'll be doing in here as well. So I'm not going to hit dot in here. I'm just going to open a square bracket, and then I'm going to type what is called as a Chromium. And once I do that, even this comes in. So I'm just going to open the Chromium browser, and then I'm just going to call a method called launch, and I can just leave this as it is, right? And once I do that, I can then launch a browser from in here. But again, in Puppeteer world as well as in the Playwright world, there are two more things that you need to do basically. One is the context, and another one is the page. So you really require these two things for working with the browser itself. So you're gonna do like this: browser dot new context. Oops. So if you do like that, you can actually see it automatically. Once I did that, it puts an await block for me over there, which is the power of the Visual Studio Code again. And again, one more thing to add in here is we know that JavaScript is an asynchronous programming language. So since it is an asynchronous programming language, you don't know which code is going to be executed first and things of that nature. So you need to put an await for all the line of code that you'll be executing. So if you don't do that, the code will be executed pretty soon, even before the particular line of code is being executed, and the next line of code will be executed and your test will actually fail. So you need to make it synchronous by using this await keyword. So that's what I'm doing in here. I need to put an await, and that's why once I hit the enter key, it automatically, the Visual Studio Code automatically added this await for me in here, right? So that's fine. You don't really have to put a bracket there like that. And I'm going to call this as const of a context in here. And then I need to create what is called as a page. So I'm going to call this as page is equal to await of context of what is called as, so we can just go navigate. You can see there is something called as new page. So I'm just going to call this guy. That's it. So once I get this in here, once I have this browser, once I have this context, and once I have the page, then I can actually navigate to the page itself. So basically, I'm just gonna do an await of page dot for navigate. Again, pretty much like Selenium, they just maintain the same way. Just go to, and then in here, I can put our most used execute automations demo site. So I'm just gonna go here, execute automation demo site. So I'm just gonna paste it over here. I'm gonna save this. That's it. So once I do that, I could now execute the code and see how it actually works. So in order to execute the code, all you're gonna do is node and then open EA test.js. So this way you can execute a JavaScript based file using the Node.js. So you can see that it's going to now open the browser. It's going to navigate to the page. It's actually doing that behind the scene, but you can see there is nothing happening. So, well, what's happening behind the scene is the interesting thing, guys. The browser has actually opened and also executing the code, and it's done executing it, but nothing you can actually see for this matter. So I'm just going to quit this guy. The reason that why you can't see anything in here is because Playwright or Puppeteer by default launches the browser in an headless mode. That's the thing. They always support running this in headless mode. So in order to run this browser in a head full mode, within the launch, you need to open this bracket and do control space. And you can see there are a hell lot of other options come in. And one of the options that you need to be choosing is headless. So within this headless, you can say that you want to run this headless mode to be false. So you don't want to run the code in headless by default. So you can either put is equal to, or you can put this colon as well. I mean, anything is fine. And now if I try to run this particular code again, you can see that the browser is opening and the page is being navigated pretty fast as well. Again, that's the power of Puppeteer. And you can see the browser is not being closed. The reason being the browser is actually not closed elsewhere. So you need to do this. Wait of the browser dot, I guess it's close. Yeah. So once it navigates, then it closes the browser as well. So you can see it automatically waiting and it's just closed. That's it. So this is how we can actually launch a browser and do all sort of stuff from here pretty easily. And the next step is we need to take a screenshot. So let's say if a page is loaded and if I need to take any screenshot of the page, then I can probably do something like this. I can just do an await of the page dot, you can see there is something called a screenshot, and then I can specify the path parameter in here. So you can see the property comes in, which is the path. And then in here, I can just give something like an EA hyphen, and we can also do the string interpolation in here. Like I can put a dot and open a bracket in here, and then I can just give something like the browser name if you want to. So if I want to give let's say something like the browser name as the Chrome, then I can just specify the Chrome in here. So because there is just only one browser as of now, so I'm just gonna leave this guy as it is. So for instance, if I just want to put something like a date and time in here, I can do that. Something like date dot now, and then I can just put a dot png over here, right? So that's it. So now it just takes a screenshot based upon the date over here, right? So now if I just try to execute this particular piece of code, you can do that. So basically you're just going to take a screenshot based on the name. So you can see that currently it's just giving us the native code. So probably I should change the particular name, but you can see that the idea is this. You can take a screenshot, something like this. Maybe I can just put like toString to get this matter. So this is how you can actually work with the screenshots of a page. But the next thing is, let's say if I want to take a screenshot of all the browser types which is currently being supported, something like Chromium, Firefox, and the WebKit, I can also do that. So let's say screenshot for all browsers.js. So this is the name of the code. And then if I want to take a screenshot for all the pages, I just want to run through a quick loop and I want to see how the code actually works. This is how the code is going to look like. So this is the same code which is available in the GitHub of the Playwright as well. You can see how it is looking like, and you can see that I just modified a little bit. I just put a headless as false. Just want you to see how it actually works, and it takes a screenshot of the browser type and then it saves. So in order to execute this piece of code, I'm just going to do a node of the screenshot for all browser.js. I'm going to execute it. So you can see it's currently opening Google Chrome, and it took a screenshot for us over there. And now it's opening the Safari, took the screenshot there, and it's also opening the WebKit. You can see it's WebKit actually, and it's working as well. So you can see all the browsers is being loaded and the screenshot is being taken. Pretty interesting, right? So you can keep doing all sort of jazz using the Playwright in here. And the last one, which I want to show you pretty quickly, like to show some of the awesomeness of the Puppeteer, is to wait for the response or the XHR. For instance, if I go to any one of the website, let's say if I want to go to the Hotstar website, so oops, over here. So you can see that it loads a lot of stuffs for us. So Hotstar, is it loading or not? And you can see that there are so many XHR being loaded while the page is loading. So the page is fully loaded until the whole page XHR is being completely loaded. So until the whole XHR is loaded, you cannot actually say that the page is fully loaded, right? So I want to wait until this full page is being loaded for us. So in order for that to be done, I'm actually gonna create maybe an example like wait test.js file, and here I just want to see if I could able to wait until the page is fully loaded. So I'm just going to copy some of the code from here, which I have already written. So maybe the whole thing. And I'm going to paste it over here. So instead of the executeautomation.com website, I'm just going to wait for the Hotstar website. So let's try to remove this. I'm going to paste it over here. And then I just want to have a wait period. So let's the screenshot be there later on. But I also want to see, let's change this to Hotstar. And I'm going to just do an await of page dot, and once I put WA, then you can see that there are so many different waits available, like wait for event, wait for function, load state, navigation, request, response, and stuff. So the one which we are looking for is the wait for response. I've already discussed about all the different wait mechanism in the Puppeteer course, which is available currently in Udemy. You can go and watch there. The concept is pretty much exactly the same thing, guys. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing in here as well. So wait for the response, and here I'm just going to do a return, because I need to return this particular response anyways. Return the request dot request type, where I'm going to say the request type wait for the XHR to be fully loaded. So I'm just going to save this, and now if I try to execute this particular piece of code, so node of wait test.js file, and you can see that it's currently opening in the Chrome browser. So you can see it's just waiting for the whole page to be loaded and closed, because basically it's fully loaded. But if you don't believe me, if I want to open the dev tool, what I can do is I can go to the launch method, and in here I can put the launch option as DevTools as true. So basically I'm saying that show me the DevTools as a part of the page opening in the browser. So if I now execute this, so you can see that it also opens the dev tool for us. Pretty interesting, right? Now let's me go to the network, and you can see that the XHR is keep coming, and there we go. So the XHR got over, every XHR on the page is kind of loaded, and the browser got closed. Right? So this is how you can wait for this, and you can do some sort of operation like how long the page is currently been waiting. So you can put something like a wait period. I mean, you can count like a timer if you want to, but just to make it a little more intelligent, I'm just gonna say like I just want to wait like how many seconds. So as of now, it doesn't really show you the second or stuff, but just that is gonna show you how many number of time this particular wait is actually been executing or iterating. So if I just execute this particular piece of code, and if you go in here, you can see it's just waiting for these many seconds. Basically every second is currently executing, right? You can see, so 77, something like that. So you can keep looking at it, but this is not an accurate value of 77 seconds. Basically you can even do a lot of jazz over here to make things happen. So this is how you can actually wait for the page to be fully loaded and stuff. And the last two option before even I say these are the awesome things that you can do is the hover method. Again, I have this particular code already available in the Puppeteer course. I'm just going to copy paste this particular piece of code, and I will show you how it looks like. I have also added some other stuff in here to showcase you how to work with slow-mo and set the viewport and stuff, something like this. So you can see this is a Playwright. I'm going to run in the Chromium browser. If you want, you can run this in Firefox browser as well. You're going to set the viewport to width increase to like 1440 and 9000. And then I'm just going to enter, and then I'm going to perform a keyboard press operation. I'm waiting for the selector initial, and then I'm going to hover to the automation tool. So that is a hover method to do that for us. And now if I just want to see how it works, node of hover.js, and if I hit enter, you can see that it just does exactly the same thing. It just waits, and then it hovers, and then it quits. So it basically hovered the particular menu. So I'm just gonna command the particular browser.close option so that you can see the hover operation is actually happening. So you can see it waits for the page load, and then you can see that the automation tool will get an hover focus as well. Oops, doesn't seem like it is focusing or hovering there. So let me quit this particular test and let me change this guy to Chrome. Interesting. I've never seen this behavior before. Oh, sorry, not Chromium. Chromium. I'm gonna save this and let's try to run this. There we go. You can see that the hover actually works for the Chromium browser, but not for the Firefox browser for some reason. So maybe this is not supported yet. You can actually see that in the support page of the Playwright. You can just go in here and you can see there is something called as is Playwright ready in the GitHub page. And this shows you the Firefox that like 39 skipped, 762 passed. I guess the Firefox hover is not currently supported. You can actually see that there is no way it's showing us, but actually it is not working as we saw in the demo right now, right? There should be some sort of bugs right now in terms of Playwright, but I could still see that we could able to do many things that we could able to achieve in the Puppeteer. So now the next thing is we already talked about Puppeteer a lot. We can easily mix it up very easily. We can also use Concept.js to use the Playwright to do the stuff. I guess they're all going to be pretty much exactly the same thing. We can do all sort of jars in here without any problem. And again, I'm not talking about TypeScript yet in this particular whole video. I'm still talking about JS with Playwright, but we'll be talking about the TypeScript version of it pretty soon. But yeah, this is how you can write the code in Playwright very, very simply to get started with. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know your thought and put your comments below if you need to see even more detailed. I'm going to add this whole thing in the Puppeteer course already. So once again, thank you very much for watching this video and have a great day.